Thank you. Our first question is for Minister Fleming. What are the timelines on rebuilding Highway 8 from Merritt to Spence's Bridge, the Coquihalla from Hope to Merritt, and Highway 1 between Highway 11 and Spence's Bridge? How much is this going to cost, and where does the money come from? And our second question is for Minister Popham. I realize you just said that it sounds like not many BC turkeys perished in the floods. People are still seeing that the price of frozen turkey has increased in a big way. Just if you can comment again on the latest on turkey shortages and how might prices be affected in our province.
Great, thank you for the question. So when it comes to the Fraser Canyon Highway 1, Highway 8, and also the Coquihalla Highway, there is work being done, very intensive work on protecting the infrastructure that remains usable. Also breaking rock and preparing to do the repair work, mobilizing material, mobilizing companies to do that work. So we're in the planning stage on what that will look like as well in terms of temporary access. We'll have more updates and a better idea of costs as we do more of the engineering assessments on what the full recovery looks like. We've talked in these briefings about the principle of build back better and climate adaptation for the age of extreme weather events that we're now in, and those are discussions that we're having with our federal counterparts as well as it relates to disaster financial assistance that they have. The Prime Minister has discussed with our Premier about providing resources for our recovery too. So we don't have costs right now, but in terms of reestablishing access in areas of the Fraser Canyon, I can say that we have been working with communities like Cook's Ferry and the Shaken First Nations to try and preserve property. Our crews were able to save a house by putting in riprap to protect it from floodwaters. Yesterday, I know that BC Hydro is on the ground to restore power to those homes that currently don't have power yet. So there's a lot happening. There's roads being punched in that give some access. Some of them are Forest Service roads that are being upgraded and widened and cleared on a temporary basis, but we'll have more to share about what the temporary restored access looks like, as well as the permanent rebuilding plans in the days ahead.
Thank you for the question about turkeys. So 98% of our turkey supply is still intact. I am in contact with Kevin Klippenstein. He's the chair of the BC Turkey Marketing Board. But we are going to see some prices reflected around the complications of transport. And so unfortunately, it's taking longer to get things to where they're needed, and that's costing the trucking industry more. It's an unfortunate complication when we see a disruption like this, but hopefully we'll see in the new year, as things get more streamlined, that those costs will adjust.
Kristen, do you have a follow-up?
Yes, thank you. Just back to Minister Fleming on the costs. Is it fair to say that we're facing some substantial costs for these highway rebuilds? We're seeing on the RFQs that the projects being applied for are between 20 to 50 million or greater than 50 million.
Yes, it is fair to say that it will be very significantly expensive to rebuild our infrastructure and to build it to a higher, more resilient standard. But I don't have numbers about what the entire scale of damage is to all of our infrastructure. In the case of the Coquihalla, there's about 130 kilometers of corridor that are affected, and entire sections that are broken that engineering teams are working on providing a temporary reuse plan on right now. Don't have costs for doing that, but as I've said before, we're not sparing any resources on the efforts necessary to get highway infrastructure in every part of the province that's experienced and sustained damage functioning.
This question is from Mira Baines, CBC.
Okay, so this question is, what's being done to support remote communities like Spence's Bridge? They've been without cell or internet service for weeks.
Yeah, so we're getting utility companies in to restore services like that. We are providing materials that will protect from the recent storm events and perhaps future storm events to keep that community from sustaining any further damage. We're working on road access with the Ministry of Forests and others. We've got road maintenance contractors in there. There are some communities where, because the rivers have changed, they're accessible by boat now. We're using helicopter and air support to get supplies into some of the most remote communities that right now don't have road access. But most importantly, we're coordinating with regional districts and First Nations government on what the plans will look like for restoring road access to connect to other communities and to rebuild the infrastructure that we've lost.
Mira, do you have a follow-up?
Yes. Has anyone been turned around or fined yet for not traveling for essential reasons? And if yes, how many tickets have been issued so far?
I don't have that data. To my knowledge, I know there has been increased enforcement on Highway 3, and what we heard clearly from the trucking industry yesterday was they appreciate that. The industry and those representing drivers and the BC Trucking Association are working with our ministry to promote safety and driving to conditions I'm familiar with. That conversation also was about making the difficult job of transporting goods in BC better for those who are working in that industry. You know, we need more rest stops. It takes twice as long to get from Surrey to Karamias right now than it normally would. So we need more pull-off areas, and we identified ways to communicate in areas that don't have cell phone service, having more reader boards that allow drivers to anticipate the kinds of conditions they encounter. So those are some of the things that we're working on.
Our last question today is from Carl Yu, Black Press.
Hi, I'm just wondering, I know there's no flood watches and waters are receding, but it looks like there's about 15 centimeters of snow forecast for the Hope, Merritt, Princeton area. I'm wondering if that's any worries about that affecting flood recovery and that sort of thing in those areas.
Go ahead, Armel.
Hi, thank you for the question. Yeah, we are definitely anticipating snow in two different moments. One is going to be tonight into Saturday morning. We have got a snowfall warning for Hope, and the Coquihalla and Allison Pass could see up to 15 centimeters. And then we are also looking at deeper into the weekend, into Monday morning, where another system is sliding down the coast. We're now into a northwesterly flow. So snow is also likely, and perhaps even down to sea level. So definitely, without question, winter tires shifting into winter right now, following Drive BC for the conditions where you are, both on the island, on the south coast, and into the interior, will be crucial for the next few days.
Carl, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering though, like, will that accumulations of snow sort of affect flood situation? And in the Hope, Merritt, Princeton area?
Go ahead, Armel.
Yeah, my understanding from River Forecast Center and the briefings that we've been giving to various Emergency Management BC regional offices is that the cooler conditions are actually helpful in stabilizing the environment, and that we are seeing the conditions ameliorate. But certainly a question for Andrew Giles and the River Forecast Center in terms of the flooding piece.
Go ahead, Andrew.
Yes, indeed. Those cooler temperatures do help to reduce the inflow to some of those already affected river systems. We'll see with the cooler temperatures, reduced melting of snowpack in the mid to high elevations. And also the sustained freezing temperatures in the interior of BC will help to reduce the water levels on the Fraser, which will help water to be drained more quickly from the Sumas Prairie